Before we get to the movie, Will Bowmenter asks, what is your Muppet recasting? The movie where you keep one actor, but the rest of the characters are now Muppets. Well, I am, and I'm sure you are too, a big fan of the movie 12 Angry Men. So I give you 12 Angry Muppets. The foreman of the jury, juror number 1, he's steady, he's organized, Gonzo. Juror number 2, he's a funny little guy, he's sort of comic relief, Pepe the King Prawn. I don't love that choice, but just the idea of Pepe offering everyone gum, I think is funny. Juror number 3, the spurned father, that's the human. For some reason I immediately thought Chris Cooper, maybe because he's been in a Muppet movie before. Juror number 4, the straight, logical one, of course, Sam the Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
Juror number 5, the former street kid. If anyone can bring a world weariness to this production, it's Rolf the dog. Juror number 6, oh, this is a thankless role. He doesn't say much, he doesn't do much. But if there's a Muppet that is willing to do thankless jobs, it's Scooter.
Yep.
Juror number 7, he just wants to get to that Yankees game, and he's played by Rizzo the Rat. Juror number 8, Henry Fonda, the main character. Of course, that's Kermit.
Yeah.
Juror number 9, the old man. There was a Muppet who I think was just on the TV show. His name was Pops.
Okay.
I can't think of any other old man character. Number 10, the racist bad man.
I can't wait.
Who's the most sinister Muppet? It's Uncle Deadly.
Yep.
Juror number 11, the European watchmaker, the Swedish chef. Juror number 12, the advertising man who's always got a joke for every occasion. Of course, Fozzie Bear. And the judge and the bailiff, they're also part of the play. That is Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker.
Oh, perfect.
I just want to see Kermit throw a switchblade into a wooden table.
Again.
I was walking around last night and I bought this in a pawn shop. Welcome back to the Basement Bill Bowls.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
I have a movie for us to watch, and I think it's going to be a great experience. Some might even say it will be a magnificent experience. Or even a magnificent obsession.
Oh, okay.
Released in 1954, Magnificent Obsession was directed by Douglas Sirk and stars Jane Wyman and Rock Hudson. It is a remake of the 1935 film of the same name and an adaptation of the novel of the same name written by Lloyd C. Douglas in 1929. Rock Hudson and Jane Wyman would go on to star together the following year in Sirk's All That Heaven Allows. During the Hollywood communist witch hunts of the late 1940s, Jane Wyman was a confidential informant for the FBI. You know about this?
Makes perfect sense.
Along with her husband, future President Ronald Reagan, who was a Democrat at the time,
Okay.
they named names of suspected communists working in the industry. Her code name, T10. Are you familiar with Douglas Sirk?
I've never seen a Douglas Sirk film.
Have you seen a Todd Haynes film? It's pretty much the same thing.
No, I have not.
Well, I think we're going to enjoy watching it, and I'm going to enjoy giving you this gift, which might become your new obsession.
Oh. Pick up sticks. Yeah, this is probably going to be my plan for the night.
Play that with your daughter.
Yeah.
Or just by yourself.
Yeah, sticks.
Well, take your head out of that bosom and come on over to the old leather couch where we'll be sitting down and enjoying a slice of 50s melodrama known as Magnificent Obsession. Ready?
Yep.
Let's get magnificent.
Coming at you live from Earth.
Jane Wyman and her magnificent obsession with communism. Bob Merrick is a fast-living playboy with an even faster boat, the Hurricane. He's tearing around on the lake. His girlfriend doesn't like it so much, but what does she know?
He drops her off at the dock.
He's gonna go out again because he wants to go even faster. The Hurricane must fly!
Hasn't he got any brains?
Doesn't have to. He's got $4 million.
Oh man, this guy is going way too fast.
I knew that would happen!
I told him not to jump that shark! They bring the town's only resuscitator to help him out.
Starting to breathe, Bill.
We've been pumping pure U.S. currency into his lungs, and it's working. But it turns out that resuscitator is needed somewhere else right now. It's needed at the Phillips place.
Do you suppose it'll be too chilly to eat out on the terrace? We could fix the tables with hurricane lamps.
Or hurricane boats.
Oh, Joyce, it's so pleasant. We can have dinner outside without any trouble at all.
Why did she ask that if she was in the car with the top down and could feel the outside?
Wayne Phillips.
General good guy in town has died of a heart attack. We're gonna have to eat dinner inside after all. If they could have gotten that resuscitator to him sooner, it might have prevented it. But it was being used on Bob Merrick.
He's a stupid, spoiled, darn fool.
Stupid, spoiled, darn fool was my childhood nickname.
So, seeing anyone? Merrick is still in the hospital.
Just take the barge out there and get her up. Don't bother me with excuses. Get it done.
And burn down that orphanage.
Fly him up here and don't argue with me.
If I may be allowed to take your...
Shut up, you.
Been here 5 days and everybody treats me like a leper.
Poking at me with stools and whips. Treat me like a leopard.
And he decides, I'm just blowing this pop stand, and he leaves the hospital.
Helen is in her office at the Brightwood Hospital.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Bye-bye, J. Edgar. And she's visited by a woman named Mrs. Eden. She tries to give her a check for $4,000. Mr. Phillips lent her that money. Why are you giving it to me now? Well, I always tried to pay him back, but he would never let me.
You become very excited.
He would drop his pants and I'd run out of the room.
You keep it and use it.
Use it to throw a giant outside eating party. Turns out Mr. Phillips did this quite a bit. They talk to the family lawyer, who is also Joyce's fiance, and he tells them they don't have any money. It's all gone. I get the feeling after this meeting she's going to want that $4,000 from Mrs. Eden.
And the hospital is liable to be in very rocky shape, too.
Can't something be worked out, Tom?
Nope. All of the patients will have to be put down.
I have to go to the house. The gardener's a little confused about what bulbs to lift this fall.
And I need to fire him immediately because of everything you've just told me. She's driving away from the hospital. Is that Wayne Phillips? Is he still alive? She runs across Bob Merrick. He's just tumbling down a hill. You know, that was never explained.
Are you all right?
Well, I'm living a lie in Hollywood.
Can't we talk about it better after I take you to lunch?
I think not.
You should accept all the free lunches you can. He finds out that Wayne Phillips is dead for want of a resuscitator.
The accident Bob Merrick had?
Yes. Bob Merrick.
That's me! He gets out of the car and faints.
So Helen has to rush him back to the hospital.
It's Bob Merrick.
The Elephant Man? No, the other Merrick.
Yes, Mr. Merrick?
I got a truckload of resuscitators outside. They're all ready to go. Out of guilt for what he's done and knowing that the hospital is in financial trouble, he writes out a check for $25,000. But Helen doesn't want any of it. You can't just write checks and expect to make everything better, Bob Merrick.
Listen, Mrs.
Leave me
Phillips.
alone!
Merrick goes out drinking that night. He ties one on.
Good night, baby.
Wow! You just suck her eyeball out?
Don't you want to take me home?
Sure.
He's driving around.
He ends every night on a resuscitator. This guy knows how to party.
And he just happens to be at the house of
Ed Randolph. He's a doctor? He's a painter?
and a friend of the Phillips family.
Yeah?
Hey, Norman Rockwell. I just cracked up my car. But Ed tolerates this drunken man and lets him sleep it off on the couch.
Well, you're mine now, Merrick.
The next day, he gives him some words of wisdom about accessing the power within you.
He showed me how to establish contact with the source of infinite power.
That sounds fine. What does it mean?
Have you heard of Scientology, my boy?
To be of service to other people.
Find people who need help and help them, but always in secret.
Do good deeds, and you keep it to yourself.
One of the first men who used it went to the cross at the age of 33.
Oh, here he is now.
Merrick kind of likes this idea.
I'll certainly give it a chance.
He goes into town to a lunch spot. Hey, everyone, lunch is on me. I'm being of service. He sees a guy who he knows. The guy tells him about his troubles.
We lost the baby, you know.
Oh?
Mrs. is still in the hospital. The bills are pretty rough.
I'm sorry to hear it, Dan.
Well, good luck with all that.
And Merrick gets the idea. Oh, I could start helping people.
He needs 300 smackaroos. Bob gives it to him. Don't tell anybody. This is our little money secret. He sees Mrs. Phillips. He wants to talk to her about the ideas in his head. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She gets into a cab. He follows her into the cab.
She gets out of the other door.
Look out!
Jesus Christ. I wasn't expecting that.
She's lucky to be alive.
But she has an
inoperable lesion.
She is now blind.
for the rest of her life. At least I can still hear those commie bastards.
Helen is now adjusting to her life as a blind person with the help of Nancy, the nurse.
She's having lunch with Ed Randolph.
I'm a problem to everybody.
Well, of course you have to have people around to help you. So do several geniuses that I could mention.
Like me. She decides to walk down to the beach all by herself.
1, 2, 3.
That's progress for you.
It's remarkable.
And that's why I've remarked on it. Down at the beach is Judy, a little girl who helps her out with various things.
And about a half a dozen snipes having a race. And a couple of stars fooling around by the yacht club.
Oh, and then there's old Mr. Merrick. He's skulking around.
See ya.
Bye.
So Judy wouldn't think to remark to a blind lady, oh, there's a guy here.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone else was here.
He pretends to be someone else. Robbie Robinson. Sometimes coming up with a pseudonym on the fly is tough. They strike up a fast friendship. She doesn't know that that's Bob Merrick, her enemy. I might have been calling him John Merrick this whole time. Bob. 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 All right.
The investment of one's life in others. And the alignment of oneself with the forces that lead up and on. It'll be a magnificent obsession.
We have a title.
Bob sees the family lawyer. Tom tells him to give the family the secret money.
Don't let anyone know about this either. No one.
The first rule of Magnificent Obsession is that you do not talk about Magnificent Obsession. Bob knows some doctor colleagues. Some of them think she may not be permanently blind. If she can go to Switzerland and be seen by these eye specialists, world-renowned doctors, they might be able to fix her up. Also, Bob used to go to medical school, and now he's going to go back and finish. So he's going to become a doctor.
If I can go back and graduate, will you let me intern here at the medical center?
Is he going to fix her blindness?
I think that's the idea.
One time on the beach, Helen is hanging out with Robbie, and Joyce shows up. What are you doing? We know that you're Bob Merrick. And he says, just don't say anything. Come on, just let this happen.
Hasn't she had enough trouble from you without this fantastic lie?
Not a fantastic lie. It's a magnificent obsession. Helen, Nancy, her personal nurse, and her daughter Joyce get on a plane to Switzerland. She is examined by doctors.
Will you tell me if you see a little light?
Do you see this light? Yes. Do you see it? Tell me.
No, I'm sorry, gentlemen.
I know you are lying.
They come to the conclusion that
For the present, we can do nothing.
Helen is very sad. Really, really sad. Shh.
She's sound asleep.
let's get out of here.
Do me a favor.
Of course, what?
Go straight to hell. Robbie Robinson shows up. Helen is so happy to see him. What you need is a night out on the town.
We're gonna get dressed up to the teeth. I'm going to initiate that new net dress.
You know, the one that goes up to my teeth. It's a weird dress, but I like it. He drives her into town. There's a ceremonial witch burning happening. You know, Switzerland. He describes it all to her. Oh, it's a magical night.
You've helped me know that the world isn't such a bad place after all.
You don't hate it anymore?
No, I only hate Bob Merrick, and I always will.
Helen actually knows that Robbie is Bob Merrick.
And she's known for quite some time, and she doesn't care because she loves him.
I love you. And I want to marry you.
He takes her home. Things are finally working out. But it's no good. Helen can't subject Bob to a life with a blind person.
Having to, help her read the paper every morning, and that won't stand.
So she writes some notes, or presumably has Nancy do it. They go away in the night.
No one knows where they went.
Oh, here, she left this note for you.
Dear Bob, suck it. Love, Helen. Bob hires all these detective agencies to try and track her down. They can't find her. She's disappeared. Like that. Say, Joyce, what do you say we hook up? Now, time passes, and Bob is now a full-blown doctor. He's fixing little kids' heads.
Now I can go to that new school out in the country that got horses and dogs and everything.
Oh yeah, horse and dog school. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Tom and Joyce are now married. They have their first child. Ed Randolph shows up again and says that he knows where Helen is, and she's in New Mexico, and she is in bad shape.
They fly out there on a red-eye flight. Shadow Mountain.
Yeah.
Now that's a place to die.
Helen is in a coma. She's lying in bed mumbling. She's dreaming she's chasing rabbits.
The complications from the pneumonia are causing other complications with her inoperable lesion. All these New Mexico doctors can't operate on her because they went to a dodgy med school. I don't know.
We're not even a real hospital.
It has to be you, Bob.
Now you're going to repay that old debt in a way that you never imagined.
And I have to say, I, Ed Randolph, am really enjoying all this. Bob takes her into the operating room.
Remove the dressing.
I ordered the dressing on the side. It's rough going at first.
But he sees Ed Randolph up there in the window, the inspirational presence of Ed, and he does the operation. She lives, and in fact...
But I think I see some light.
Wow!
Yes, my darling. You are going to see.
Because I'm smarter than 4 Swiss doctors.
And they will be together forever.
Sometimes you never know what you can accomplish when you develop a magnificent obsession.
Magnificent.
The big problematic thing about the movie is this idea that being blind is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Blind people are nothing but a burden to others. Mm-hmm. They're unmarriable. I mean, even in the 50s, that seems like an outdated notion. When she leaves, that's kind of a really cruel act, because he's very much in love with her.
Yeah.
You know, he can make up his mind if she's going to be a burden to him. Like that.
Right.
That's a decision between 2 people.
Right. That really is a terrible thing to do, especially because he's come all this way. He's done all these things, and she knows.
Right.
That this is the guy who's done it all, and he's doing it for the right reasons. It'd be one thing to just say, no, I can't marry you, but to just leave and leave her daughter.
If you think you're a burden to someone, if they're a millionaire, you're going to be less of a burden.
Right.
That's the big central flaw of the movie. And another thing was, I was thinking we were going to get to the movie and not cure her blindness. I was really hoping that would happen. She would get to a place where she can kind of live with it. Like in the movie Sound of Metal, where the guy goes deaf. He spends the whole movie trying to fix his deafness, but he realizes that the thing to do is just adjust your life to accommodate it. It feels like the ending to this is a compromise, because I'm guessing the original script, she does not get her sight back. And the studio probably looked at that and said, you got to give her sight back.
Yeah.
We got to have that happy ending. And so at the end, she's sort of like, I kind of can see something maybe.
Yeah, they don't lean into the happy ending.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like, I think she might be lying.
She could be just wishful thinking.
And even the look on his face.
For him, it would be, at this point, it would be a good strategy. Yeah, sure, you're going to see again. Don't run away again.
We'll do this together now.
Exactly. I thought it was a nice touch for him to bring up Bob Merrick, and she's like, yeah, I know it's you, Bob. I've known for quite some time. That was just realistic.
Yeah.
This is the second Cirque film I've seen. I believe I've seen All That Heaven Allows. It's really cool the way that Cirque, and when I say Cirque, I mean his cinematographer, the way they use shadows. They use shadows like a film noir. Some scenes are just shrouded in shadows. Mm-hmm. But then the colors are so bright and vibrant that it gives the entire film kind of a painterly quality, like you're looking at an oil painting. It's really just lovely to look at.
Yeah.
Did they ever say why he fell down the hill?
I think
still don't understand that.
I think he was just still really shaky and just not healthy enough to leave the hospital when he did decide to leave.
So he was sneaking out of the hospital? Is that what was happening?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice redemption story where not only can not a bad man or an evil man, just a directionless, compassionless man can sort of be redeemed, and he can also be forgiven.
Anybody that can do what you've done for her is okay with me.
I like the understatedness of the emotions, the calm physicality of it. It never got histrionic or anything like that.
Unlike the score at times. That's another quality of melodrama, is that the scores are always big.
Yeah.
You want to have a counterpoint of subtly played emotions.
Yeah.
Well, we're ready to put aside our magnificent obsession, and now it's time for us to obsess about something else, something called Seen It.
Seen It.
Jimmy Jim Jam. I have trouble sitting down and focusing on movies, but I sat down and watched The Iron Giant. Absolutely beautiful movie with a lot of heart.
I have seen that.
I've seen most of it. I think I missed the beginning. I might have missed the first 20 minutes of it, but then I watched it to the end. Is that Vin Diesel?
Mm-hmm.
Is that his first role?
I think it might have been.
Do you remember if that was traditionally cell animated or was that CGI?
The robot was computer animated, but I think everything else was cell animated.
I remember it being very funny at times, and you got this very distinct sense of dread that this is not going to a place that's going to be good.
Yeah. Stephen Hines, Skinnamarink, a fanatically terrifying idea killed by long stretches of nothing. Seen it.
It's the long stretches of nothing that makes it terrifying.
Yeah.
I made it through about a half hour and I had to stop. It
really?
It was too scary.
Mm.
I live alone,
yeah.
And so I would never sleep again.
That was a movie that just grabbed my attention. And when it was finally available to stream it, I just had to watch it right away. And the fact that it's happening to kids.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what it is, and you're expecting a monster, maybe, something, and it's all just terrible stretches of nothingness.
Right,
it was very, very disturbing.
Yeah, I had to stop it for the same reason that Paranormal Activity freaked me out so much. It's this idea that the monster is your home. Your house is out to get you.
Yeah.
Richard Ives, 4811. Seen it. Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Seen it.
Seen it.
I always have mixed feelings about it when I remember it, and I remember it not being very good, and then when I watch it, I realize that some of its parts are greater than the whole.
It's essentially a sketch collection.
Yeah.
A couple of those sketches are just all-timers for me. The whole thing in the school, the religious ceremony, and the talk about, moving your brother's clothes to the lower peg before he writes his letter home.
Put the bits in little pots.
Yeah. Oh, God, you are so big.
I really hate the live organ transplants sketch.
That is too much.
And it's not funny at all.
It's not.
As opposed to the Mr. Creosote, which is also a big gross-out sketch, but that is funny.
Sam Vercotterin says, the most fun movie I saw this year was Bullet Train. Seen it?
Seen it. I am so mad at this movie.
Really?
Because I really liked it. And the writing is terrible. I hate the dialogue. I hate the little... It was too cute. You can say what you want about modern cinema and its CGI has ruined everything. Marvel superheroes, or just, that's all anybody cares about, or nobody goes to the movies anymore. No, it's screenwriting. It's the death of screenwriting. Yeah. It's all just trendy language and catchphrases and garbage, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And another thing that really bothered me, I think is something else that's endemic of action movies, modern action movies, is they just want everything. So at the end of the film, the train is going down the track, and it can't stop. So what needs to happen? They need to stop the train. They also want a big splashy train derailment. And they also want a big showdown between the surviving characters at the end. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't have all three of these things. You can only have two of these things. But they put all three of them in there. This train crashes spectacularly, and everyone just walks right out of the crashed train, and they have their little showdown. Even the guy, the White Death, who was mortally wounded before the crash, he comes out, and he's still alive. It just struck me as the ending was written by a toddler who just wants all the cool stuff in his game of Let's Pretend.
Right. I think that's one of the things I liked about it. I went with it.
Well, what could your new obsession be? Could it be our website? I think it could. It's welcometothebasementshow.com. You can go there and watch our entire back catalog of episodes, and there are PayPal donation buttons that you can click on. Yes, I said it. You can click on them and make a one-time or rolling monthly donation to support this show. Welcome to the basement. We appreciate it, and I want to shout out our new monthly donor. It's Jamie. Bill will be here next week for unboxing. We've got boxes to unbox and fun to be had. Won't you join us? And now take a look at this.
She'll never see again, thanks to you. Write a check for that, Mr. Merrick.
Would that work?
If I just write a check for eyes? Do I put that on the memo line, or how does
2 eyes?
It'll be a magnificent obsession.